Hey guys. Yo, Fup, how's it going?
Wait, what was that?
What do you mean? That was
It's
my
going.
intro.
It's good. That's a great intro. It's going great. How you
That's
doing,
insane,
pal?
dude. Okay, so one thing I actually managed to see is back in the day you used to do hey guys. You had a longer hey, and now you have hey guys. Like you cut off the hey. Did somebody bully you?
No, actually, back in the day, I didn't even have Hey Guys. I don't know when I even started doing it.
Yeah, but I just remembered it. I remember it. I did one
Yeah,
for one.
I just started doing it every single video. I don't know why, and now it's just people just spamming it in chat now. So yeah, it's just a thing
Like
now.
a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Dude,
you know,
happy to have you on. Thanks for taking time so close before league start. For people who for some reason don't know Fubgun, he's like blaster extraordinaire, very efficient player. And also one thing I always mention about you that people don't give you enough credit for is usually blasters don't put much like thought into their builds, especially for newer players, right? Like notes and stuff like that. You do that, so hats off to you for that. You're kind of like the whole package. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah. I never did new player stuff, but I felt forced into it because if you don't do new player stuff, you get like 1,000 questions.
Yeah.
So then I
Okay. So
started
you,
doing it, and I've gotten better and better at it. I don't mind doing it.
yeah, like you probably grew into it a little bit. It's also nice, right? It's positive reinforcement and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of
Makes
people
sense.
appreciate it, so.
Yeah, they do. So you started like 1.5 years ago, from what I've seen. You posted like some videos 4 years ago, but then kind of cut up for a while. How did you get into it? What like made you start streaming more?
Alright, this is actually a little bit of a story. So, I started streaming originally end of Crucible League. It was only for like 2 weeks. Then I streamed Diablo 4. I don't know why I started wanting to stream. I made some videos on Diablo 4 as well, actually. You can probably see that back on my YouTube. And then
Mm-hmm.
I quit D4. I came back in Total League, and my PC actually bricked. It was should have bricked. So 1 week into Total League, I fixed my PC, and like this one guy messaged me on Discord, said, "Hey bro, when are you streaming? I missed your streams." And because of him, I started streaming again in Total League. Otherwise, I might have
Dude,
not streamed
that's
again.
that's
Yeah.
fucking. So you got peer pressured into streaming.
This one guy messaged me on Discord. He's like, "Okay, whatever. I'll turn on stream."
So this one guy gave you a life direction, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's
I remember
insane.
that exact message. He's like, "Hey man, I missed your streams. You gonna stream again?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, whatever."
That's
Then it just blew
awesome.
up.
I love that. So you started playing. You played hardcore at one point, right? Like you know a lot of the hardcore guys. So when did you kind of stop and transition into softcore?
So I played hardcore from Betrayal League up until 3.9 Metamorph, and I also played a little bit in Delirium League. But
Okay.
after 3.9, I decided I'm just gonna play softcore only because the balance state of 3.9, all the bugs was like so horrendous that it just made me not want to play hardcore.
Yeah,
Like you
I
do
remember.
Cyrus and you just die to like invisible whatever. He's invisible, the beam's invisible. It's like, what is this, dude? Why am I playing hardcore?
Yeah, having to redo all the way to get back to Cyrus as well if you brick the storms was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Great
for people
patch.
that aren't aware, 3.9 release Cyrus is by far the buggiest boss, but like it's 5 times more bugs than any other boss. It's probably more bugs than every single boss in PoE1 combined. It was
Yeah, it's
insane
fucking
how buggy
insane.
it was.
It is fucking crazy. Yeah, it's
So yeah,
definitely fucking crazy.
after that I was like, okay, I'm just going back softcore, and then I just started playing softcore again.
Interesting. So usually it goes the other way around. Like softcore players get so good at the game that they get super bored, right? And you made the other transition. Like, do you just love blasting? Is it like ever like does it ever get boring? Just like grinding currency? Do you ever have no goals left or something like that?
Yeah, it does get boring. When you have too much currency, that's when I start slowing down. I may only play like 8 or 10 hours a day till I eventually quit. The most fun part is definitely like the first like few weeks where it's a few
Yeah.
things. One, it's getting the currency. Every single upgrade matters, and that's really, really fun. And this is something like pretty precise to PoE. Like you don't get this type of character progression in another ARPG because you just done it like one day, like D4. In the PoE, you spend multiple weeks on your character to min max it because there's actual meaningful upgrades like mirror items. Now we have like Kingdom Core reflected items. So it's getting to that point, and then it's getting currency up. And then when you have like a full character and you have like the GG, like you tested like 10 different strats, you have the GG strat, you do that for like 3 weeks. full character, you have like 10 meters in your stash, that's when it gets like boring. Or not
Gets,
boring,
like,
but just
rough.
not as exciting.
Yeah. Once your items also hit like this diminishing returns state, right? Where it's just like, oh, I'm gonna divine, I'm gonna get like, I don't know, extra 3 crit multi. At that point, it's kind of like, I don't know about that.
Oh, I don't mind that state. Because I don't mind the tiny upgrades. Tiny upgrades are fun. It's when I literally have nothing to upgrade. That's when it's like...
Okay, yeah. Then it's game over. So you don't really, you usually don't really reroll, right? You don't really reroll characters. I see you sometimes reroll, but it's more for a strat and less for like you want to play a build or something, right? So you kind of just like play your first build and hope it kind of works out, right? Which it usually does because you can kind of see what's coming, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I'll usually stick to what I believe is the best at the start of a league, and then I'll reroll into another character if it's like there's another strat and this build's just better for that strat. Like, you know, Rogue Exiles, for example, very popular, and that strat requires a really tanky and high DPS character that usually my blasters, my league starters are like fast, but relatively on the squishier side. So like that's fine for like majority of content, but for some of the Exiles, you need like a giga like 10,000 life or like 20k ES character.
Yeah, that's insane. The latest content actually burnt me out. Like in Freesia when I rolled the Molten Strike of Zenith guy, it was like characters have to be so good that it's almost like ridiculous. It's like it's so boring because at that point it's like I don't know, all these characters have so little QL and so little, I don't know, freedom, and it's like I don't know, it really burned me out. Tier 17s in general, like the highest content like you did with the Rogue Exiles, like burned me the hell out. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I do prefer the content where more general builds can do it, because then I can usually always pivot to a faster build. Like, for example, in Stelos League, I started as Lightning Strike, but like dual Ghost Wands, Penance Brand, Quad Explode, that was like way faster, and I did pivot to that. But if it was something like Rogue Exiles, it's like you're kind of sent into like a few defined builds, like maybe like 3 builds at most.
Yeah, it's really rough.
Yeah.
It's really rough. I mean, in general, you're touching on a good topic here, I guess. Do you ever feel pressured to play like the best builds, to do the best strats? Do you ever have like, do you ever just want to like play something goofier, or maybe have a little bit more leniency with what you play?
Usually no.
In terms of your
playing...
content. In terms of your content is what I mean, right? Like, because your viewers also expect something at this point, right?
So I just naturally like playing the best things, and this is true in like all things, like all games. I just naturally, if I'm not playing the best thing, I'm actually not having fun. That's
okay.
This is for games in general. Like if I played WoW, I played like top 3 best class. If I wasn't playing top 3 best class, I wasn't having fun. You know?
Yeah.
So it's the same in PoE where it's like if there's something best, and once it's fun to play, like there is exceptions. It's just something that's like the best, but it's like so tedious and so annoying to play, I'll play the second best at that point.
Okay, so for example, let's say Lightning Arrow or Lightning Arrow in PoE2 or Lightning Strike in PoE1 are as strong. I mean, Lightning Arrow is a bad example. Let's leave that out because there was a lot of good builds, obviously, in PoE2. But let's say Lightning Strike in PoE1. Let's say it is as good as it was last patch and nothing else changes. Would you play it again just because you kind of feel like you have to?
Let's say there's no balance changes, so it's just settles League again. Yeah, I'd play Lightning Strike again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would still have more fun instead of exploring something else just because you can do everything, kind of, right? Yeah.
I would have more fun on bow builds, but I don't mind playing Lightning Strike. It's more so sad to me how PoE1 bow builds is another topic, but I'm not a fan of PoE1 bow builds right now.
Oh, man. PoE1 bow builds are kind of sad, yeah. But it's like, that's like a defensive issue. I mean, it's a lot of issues, yeah.
It's a damage issue. We can get it later.
It's like, yeah. So one other thing I wanted to discuss is kind of like before we get into PoE2 stuff in general is your channel absolutely exploded with PoE2. I actually didn't notice all that much because I didn't like watch them in much PoE2 content in the first update, but you got crazy amount of views on your Lightning Arrow builds. Do you think, like first up, I mean, this was because like a lot of that was, I mean, you had great videos and great updates and everything. Your Lightning Arrow wasn't nerfed. Did you see a lot of people flock from other nerfed builds in the first week to yours?
Yes. People told me that, like, oh, is your build going to get nerfed? Like, nah, it should be fine. It's laying out. Like, okay, I'm going to roll into your build.
Crazy. Oh, man. Yeah.
And the build was... the build was nerfed. It's just those multiple iterations of the build. And the final build did not get nerfed. So if I can give a quick rundown, but like week 1, we're doing like Rain of Arrows. Then Rain of Arrows got nerfed. There was also the held fusions that give you extra damage. That was nerfed as well. And then the salvo skill.
Oh yeah. I remember.
Salvo also got nerfed. So I was playing salvo, and then like eventually I ended up on lane arrow. Then we got the ball lightning tech, stole from Jungron. I think Jungron got from the forum post or whatever. And that final build did not get nerfed, but it was nerfed a few times. It's just the core build of lane arrow never got hit. And since lane arrow never got hit, it was always good for clear speed.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And so you had a lot of influx of new people. Did that kind of like change your life as well a little bit in terms of like financial stability and just like in general, how important you see streaming as like your income and everything?
For me, I would say that happened in Affliction League. So PoE2, like, so yeah, in Total League, just give a quick rundown, I was like 150, 100, 200 views in Total League at most. In Affliction, that's like the first big pop off, and I actually had like 1,000 views. Like I started off like 300 views, and I slowly crept up because it was like the MF league. If you want to see MF, like then by Christmas in Affliction League, I got like 1,000 views, and that's where it like really changed for me. It's like, oh okay, wait, I actually have 1,000 views. Like what the I didn't think I would get this far in the first place. And then from that point onwards, every single league I would have like the same like 2K view league start, and then go up to like 1,000 views usually. That's when it's changed. PoE2 did change it quite a bit. It should have like doubled my followers and doubled my views, but in terms of like financial, it didn't really change. It just increased it. It really started from Affliction League.
So in Affliction, you felt secure, and you're like, oh, this could actually be something I do kind of full time.
Yeah, like I wasn't really sure when Affliction League ended and Necropolis started. I wasn't really sure if like, oh, are people gonna watch again? Or did the like MF's not the thing anymore, you know? It's like I wasn't sure. But then Necropolis started, same views, like, oh okay, I guess they are coming back. And then but Necropolis Armored, I felt like, okay, yeah, I can definitely like make a thing out of this.
Did you have like a job before, or did you go to uni or something?
Yeah, I used to work, but that was like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 years ago. I just been living on like a money I've had, and then started streaming and took off from there.
So you were happy that it ended the way it did? You kind of had like a little bit of a cushion, and you kind of tried it?
Yeah. No, I mean, the whole reason why I started streaming was like, I play PoE all day, and I might as well stream it. And yeah, something happens.
Awesome, dude. I mean, yeah, that's the dream, right? That's the dream.
Yeah.
I mean, I check into your stream as well sometimes. It's very, like, I remember I was on your stream a few times when you had like 100, 200 viewers. I think I saw you from, like you said, an Affliction video or something, Diamond Shred, stuff like that. But, or even before Affliction, I don't remember what it was. But yeah, you have a very, very calm aura about you. You're not judgmental. You're like not toxic, but you're also not like hyper. You're kind of like somewhere in the middle, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I could be toxic on stream, but in my YouTube videos, I'm not toxic.
Yeah.
Also, like, a big reason why I did start upload stuff is that there wasn't a lot of people, because at the time, Grimro quit, and Kobe also quit doing YouTube videos. So at the time, there was actually, like, no one, there was, like, Snoo, and that was it, of, like, doing, like, high-end content. There was nothing.
Yeah.
So there was, like, this, like, blanket area in YouTube where, like, no one was saying, like, oh, like, how do you juice your maps? Like, these high-end MF strats, no one was doing it. So, like, that's also why I started doing it. I used to watch like every single Grimo video, but then he's stopped uploading. One
thing I credit you with, which is kind of interesting, is ever since you came, you blew onto the scene, I should say. Like you went very big in a very short amount of time. I feel like the currency meta has shifted in a way where people are more accepting of more expensive builds. Like I actually feel confident putting videos on YouTube with a mage blood, and I noticed that kind of coincided with you coming onto the scene. So. Did you notice that as well, that over the last few years, I mean, it's not just you, right? But like, there's a lot of upswing in juicers.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's like, it's more so they see it as like mainstream now, in the sense that it's like you go on Twitch, you can see my channel just juicing with multi-mirror builds, or you go on YouTube and you see it, and people are more accepting of it. Or if it's like the game evolved in that way, because the game ever since, I would say, Affliction League, has had way more juice in it. So like in general, I feel like people in PoE1 had way more currency.
That's true, and I guess also tier 17 kind of brought like a new thing into the game where it was like, oh, tier 16 is like, it's like such a big jump that you almost had to make the jump, right? And at that point you're already snowballing, right? So you have a lot of currency.
Yeah,
maybe that was it.
People accept like to do tier 17, you actually do need a good build.
Yeah. People do accept that. It was at the start, it was kind of a weird meme where people were like, oh, 20, like you know that like the videos that are like 2 divine builds tier 17 or whatever, right? And it's like the perfect skin of the lords that only exists one time kind of deal. But I feel like we've kind of evolved from that, and it's kind of like, yeah, you need good gear to do hard content kind of deal.
I remember back in the day, if you had a headhunter in your showcase, people would like laugh at you.
It's over, yeah.
And now it's like every video I do as headhunter, because it's like that is just the game. It's like, yeah, if you're juicing this hard, you do want headhunter.
Yeah. I literally used to have a stream setup of my items, and then I had like for example, I had a headhunter, and then I had like, if I took it off, I needed like dex replacement and whatnot. So I had like a tree for both, so I could kind of swap in between.
For the videos, because if you had a headhunter on, people were like, what headhunter, Bill? Whatever, dude.
What are your thoughts on PoE2 so far? So obviously you love PoE1, right? Like that's probably still, you would say, your main game, even though you've done like even crazier numbers in PoE2. You would probably still call PoE1 your main game, right?
Yeah, I'd definitely say PoE1's the main game.
Yeah. So how is it like going back into PoE2, especially from like a juicier league like Frisia right now, which in my opinion was really fun. I don't know what you thought about it, but how is it like going back into it? How do you feel about it?
I personally, I'm probably one of the least haters of PoE2. I do hate like quite a bit of it, but I don't like the map-to-map gameplay. I don't mind. It's just a few things that I'm sure we'll get into, but I like PoE2. It's actually like past Act 1 or like end of Act 1. The campaign's like a little bit fun to do. Like I don't mind doing like Act 2. I don't really mind all that much besides some spots in like Act 3. But like I don't mind a slower paced game. Like personally, it feels fine to me. Like I like playing PoE2. I do not mind it.
Yeah, like for me, one thing during the campaign I don't like is in PoE1 you have a lot of like clues along the way that it's kind of like influences where you go, and it feels like in PoE2 it's like, oh, so you're gonna like roll the dice, you go left or you go right, and you kind of hug the wall. That's like, it feels like that's like 70-80% of the layouts. That's like the only thing I don't like about the campaign. You can't really, I mean, you can obviously learn it, but yeah.
The layouts definitely aren't like fun to learn. Even like I was doing it today, you can get lost so easily, but overall, I don't mind doing PoE2 campaign.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
So you're probably similar to me then, where you could kind of just in it for the ride, and it just while it gets better and better, right?
Yeah, like a lot of people are very negative about PoE2.
Oh man,
but like I'm sure saying like I know this game in a year from now is going to be amazing. I know even next patch 0.3, it's going to be even better, way better than 0.2. That's personally what I believe, and if I say that on stream, say to anyone else, people, oh, you're coping, dude, it's not going to get better. It's like, I don't know, dude. I've played PoE since 2.5 Breach League. It's when I originally started, and like GEG works fast, and they do massive updates. They aren't just going to let PoE2 stay in the poor state that 0.1 was. 100% in like 3 patches from now, I think the game's going to be in an insane state.
I think so as well. It is actually kind of wild. The negativity is kind of getting to me sometimes, where it's like, I also feel like I'm getting more bitchy with the negativity. We kind of play into each other like with the chat, but I know your chat is similar. You also have a lot of PoE1 players, obviously. So how do you kind of like cope with that? Does that take away, or is it like nice on League Start? Like whenever you League Start, I guess you get an influx of new players, so then it's kind of fine when you go PoE2.
Yeah, so most of my chat right now in PoE2 is like fine. There's like some people that are hating on it, but I try to keep positive about PoE2, and I feel like if you keep positive about it, the chatters aren't like also positive, right? Chat reflects the streamer, all that. Yeah. If you're constantly negative about PoE2, then your chat's gonna be negative about PoE2. So I try to keep positive. Because like
you kind of feel like you almost have to be overly positive so you don't like cause any shit.
Sometimes. No, if I think something's terrible, I say it's terrible. Like I made a full PoE2 feedback video, and I said 0.1 was the worst endgame I ever played in PoE. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it to be negative, it's just personally what I believe, but like there's a lot of positive PoE2, but endgame is definitely the weakest point, and thankfully in this patch, they are touching on that.
Perfect segue. How do you feel about the changes? So kind of like rounding it out, you played a lot more endgame than me. I kind of checked out. I tried re-rolling some characters because I was so bored. I was basically maining Ultimatum at the end and just played that for like 2 weeks or something. Can you kind of run us through how in patch 0.1 endgame mapping worked?
So if you wanted to do full min-max juicing, 0.1 endgame was you would go around the Atlas, you look for like a 5 or 6 tower spot. If there was not 5 or 6 towers next to each other, you simply just kept going. because if it wasn't like 5 or 6 towers, it was not worth using your 20% quant breach stones. So you look for a 5 or 6 tower setup, you put your 20% quant breach stones in all of them, then you run like the best maps in those maps. And of course, before you put the breach stones inside those towers, you had to go around and make sure you clear all the bad maps so your breach stones could not affect. I'm sorry, breach. I'm doing tablets. So your tablets could not affect the bad maps like Mire. You also would not want to do breach on Mire. So you do your Mires, your Auguries, whatever, and then you put in all your tablets, and then you run all the maps. But before you also ran all the maps, you had to do 3 distillates on your maps. That's like 5 clips for one map, and then you had to make sure every single map was like 2 or 3 good prefix, and then you corrupt all your maps. Listen, okay, the PoE2 juicing was a mess. It was extremely tedious, and it was extremely rewarding. But like I said, there's a reason why I said it's the worst endgame PoE ever had. But that's how you juiced.
Yeah, perfect summary. And now let's talk about how it changes in 0.2. How do you think it's going to affect the juicing meta? Obviously, you don't know exactly because there's going to be the unique tablets, right? They already talked about 2 of them, and they are probably going to change the meta massively. But what do you see right now?
So when I say the 3 times less towers, presumably you can only have 2 towers within range now. Maybe on very rare occasions it'll be 3 tower overlaps, but I did see in the preview there's 2 tower overlaps. So I think it's gonna be kind of similar to before, where you're looking for 2 tower overlaps, and those are the only type of maps you're gonna do. Presumably, if Quant is still in the game on tablets, which it probably is. So yeah, you're going for 2 tower overlaps, and since it's only 2 towers, and the tablets affect like 3 times more maps, I think it's something like 40 is the maximum it can affect. You shouldn't have to actually complete your Mires and Auguries and whatever before putting a tablet in, because I was checking like in my atlas, 40 maps is pretty much every single map around the tower. So you won't feel forced to automatically complete the bad maps now. You can just ignore them.
That's great. I mean, that's incredible. Yeah, that was one of the most tedious things. That's where I kind of checked out, having to do like the shitty maps before so they don't get your juice on, right? Like that was, yeah.
The only thing I'm worried about, and might still be tedious, is that the fact that towers can overlap. So once again, you have to look for 2 tower overlaps because it's going to be double the amount of juice. And that's the only thing that might be tedious.
But that's like just strolling around. I guess we'll have to see with the new completions, right? They said there's some maps where, for example, they said boss maps now is on boss completion, right? So traversing terrain to find those spots will probably be a lot easier, right? And you also have the TP thingy, the new tablet, right? That
new tablet help if it's common.
Yeah, if it's common, they're probably gonna get you over like mountains or something as well, or hopefully. Anyways,
and it should be more than just breach, because you can use 3 tablets now. So like it might be like breach, wisp, or exile. So it should also feel more variety in the end game. It's not just breach. Yeah, expedition too.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a massive improvement. I think 0.2 is a massive improvement with 0.1.
Yeah. And this is generally something I'm always fascinated with. You still played it forever, right? You still played like 12 to 16 hours a day forever on that cycle. Do you kind of like how do you keep yourself motivated? Is it just like goal oriented and you just like it's just fun with chat anyways?
So I would say the first month of PoE2, first 3 weeks, 4 weeks, somewhere around there, I was generally just having a lot of fun because the game was brand new. So I did not mind, even though like the end game was not good. For me, I was also pushing ladder to start. Like I was consistently top 5 to top 10 the ladder. I was the only ranger in like top 20 for like the first month. Yep. So like that alone made it fun, the pushing EXP part, and then like figuring out the juice strats, figuring out like the builds. That made it fun for the first month. After the first month is when I started to slow down.
Okay.
Because after that, it's like, okay, it's the same juice and it's really boring. So then I tried playing builds. I played Javelin Stat Stacker. I played Auto Bomber. And after Auto Bomber, I got kind of bored.
Yeah, so it was kind of low. Yeah. No, I'm just fascinated because like I always feel bad because whenever I start slowing down, I only stream like 6 hours a day or 5 hours a day or something. I always see you still be on even after like I'm already done. I still see you on for 16 hours a day. I'm like, fuck, dude. This guy.
I generally do just play games a lot. I can just play 12 hours every day, weeks straight. I a little bit of a story. Back when Lost Ark first came out, I'm sure a lot of people know about that game. I didn't even stream. I did nothing. And I played that game 16 hours every day for 4 months straight.
Jesus.
I just grinding games.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. It's like, do you ever get tired from streaming though? Like, obviously, the social. I mean, you don't have a cam on stream, so maybe that has a little bit of a different vibe. But still, like interacting with people for that long, do you ever get a sore throat, or is it ever like annoying? Do you ever want to play off stream, for example? Just chill, put a podcast in.
I never really want to play off stream all that much because I generally never play off stream nowadays. I'm usually always on stream. I would play like off stream if I want to like figure out some strats or like figure out a build, because if I try to make a new build on stream, there's a lot of flippers, let's say. So I have to make a build off stream. Yeah. So I never really play off stream outside of those occasions, and I never really get a sore throat. But like, yeah, I can get tired of streaming, but the downtime of PoE1 and PoE2 leagues kind of like makes up for that. Like I will take like a month break and just not stream for a month, and then people know I'm coming back.
You're
next
going on
week.
Vacation. Yeah, you're basically going on vacation. Yeah,
and I think that's the big difference between like PoE streamers and other streamers, that we actually get this break, and I feel like this break
which is
prevents,
awesome.
Prevents his burnout. Yeah, it prevents you from hating streaming.
I love it as well. Yeah. So okay, let's talk builds real quick. So let's get the PoE2 stuff out of the way. So we're recording right now. There's no patch notes right now. We're kind of waiting for it. Everybody's kind of stressing out, right? Like everybody's, dude, I always know it's bad when people start uploading their league starters before patch notes already. They're like, so every skill is going to change, but here's my Molten Blast, Smith of Kitava league starter. And it's like, the tree is already pathed, and it's like all that's going to change, right? But how do you feel about the ascendancies? Do you feel like you're locked into like a hype class like Amazon, or would you play that anyways? Or are you considering other stuff?
Oh, I was considering Deadeye before the patch even launched. Like, if I logged on Deadeye bows, people probably wouldn't be surprised. Like, oh yeah, Fub's playing bows again. Now that we know Amazon is base crit as well, and assuming that's not changed in the patch notes, dude, I can play Amazon bows or I can play Amazon spear, so I'm probably just leaks on Amazon because I can do either. You
gotta be quiet though, because they're still changing stuff. Apparently,
that's true.
I already heard some of the ascendancies get changed nodes. We gotta be a little bit careful. But Amazon so far looks absolutely amazing. Yeah, you have the crit node. I mean, the thing about Amazon is, after we now know that Temporalis is even rarer, right? And we also know the cooldown is getting nerfed. Queen of the Forest might now be the fastest build, right? And you almost want to be Amazon for the... I forgot how the node's called, actually. Stalking Panther, right?
Yep.
It's going to be very hard to beat that in terms of clear speed. Are you already kind of setting up for that, or...?
Yep. I'm definitely half expecting Queen of Forest to have some movement speed cap in a patch or something. Unless they're fine with it. I'm not... Like I said, we'll see when patch notes come out. But yeah, if Queen of Forest is not touched, I'm 100% playing Queen of Forest. Amazon. Yeah. That thing looks insane. Like, so I was actually currently on the current patch, if we had Amazon in the game, with that node, you could get 300% MS currently. Now we'll see when it comes to 0.2 patch notes, but yeah, it is just that insane.
Is that with instacking and the timeless jewel node, or without?
Yeah. Without a timeless jewel node, you're looking at like 200% movement speed, which is still very good for PoE2.
Yeah. I still feel like a novice in PoE2, which kind of feels weird because I've obviously watched a lot of videos and educate myself, but I haven't played as much as you in Endgame. Do you feel like there's like any way like people are not just going to flock to Temporalis or Queen of the Forest or something in this league in terms of like endgame juicing?
If Queen of the Forest is not touched, I can't see a world where you're not going to play it unless there's another build like Temper Slurry where it scales your attack speed, your movement speed does.
Hear me out though. Hear me out. Demon form. Okay. So demon form, like the dodge doubles your movement speed basically. And you can probably still somehow get Queen of the Forest on the build if you can make it work without Ghost Wraith. And then the second node, like they're reworking all the ascendancies. So maybe demon form stays the same and the second node behind it gets reworked and it's actually good. And the ascendancy is actually packed, right?
Okay, this sounds like cope, but...
I'm just saying, dude.
Like, they already know demon form's good, so I can't see.
No, it's not good. It's not good.
Oh, it's not good. Okay, it's bad.
Mark has a very, as Mark said, crossbows are garbage. They need to be super, super buffed. So yeah, demon form needs to be buffed as well. Yeah, 100%.
Bows as well, honestly.
Yeah, true. I mean, other than exactly. Yeah. No, but like, think about it. They're not gonna keep maximum 10 demon flame there. They're gonna rework everything. It's gonna be insane.
Surely. That's a one thing if I don't mind talking about is the movement in PoE2 Endgame, they want the game to be slow, but then they put these items in like Queen of Force, Temporalis, to where the difference between having Queen of Force and not having a Queen of Force is like 4 to 5 times movement speed. And it's like,
it's absurd.
If these items exist in the game, your only option is to play Queen of Force or be 5 times slower, and there is no other option. So I'm not really sure.
The only other option is play content that doesn't move, right? Like that's literally
true.
Like Simu or something. That's about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Simulacrum or Ultimatum, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah. Which kind of pisses me off because I love mapping, right? Like that's what I like to do. But as you just said right now, I can't really make content with a Temporalis, especially like Coming League. They make it even rarer, right? They said 10 times rarer than it already was. And Sushi is probably going to leave us alone this time around. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, what are you supposed to do? Just like everything's going to look the same. I really hope that's not the case, but I would love if they give you more. I mean, if they make it like that you need to get X item to get like a crazy spike, at least give us like 5 or 6 of those items, right?
Yeah, that's how I feel as well. It's either you nerf these items to where they just don't exist in the game or only slightly better, or you give us like multiple options to get speed. But there's only 2 options for speed, so your options are either you play this or you're 5 times slower, and there's no in between. There's no budget options. You just 2 options or you're 5 times slower, and that's it. And that feels bad.
Yeah. Do you feel like one of the things I've heard a lot is Smith of Kitava, and this is like an interesting topic because you're also now on softcore, but you also have a little bit of the hardcore dynamic going on. Do you feel like there's a weird thing where softcore players often opt for hardcore options, and then they're kind of complaining they have no currency, but they can't really distinguish that there's 2 different gaming modes and they need different kind of tools?
Oh yeah, I've said this for a long time, but generally hardcore builds are usually mid to like sometimes bad in softcore, just straight up. This is a really true in Path of Exile 1, not always true. Sometimes there's overlap, like for example in PoE1 we have Power Siphon Mines, it's good for both hardcore and softcore. But in general, a fully focused hardcore build, they're meant to be extremely tanky and not die, but they're giving up damage and speed, and a lot of people don't realize that. Like, Smith of Kitava, I'll just say right now, it is not a softcore ascendancy. It is, I don't want to say bad for softcore, because we don't know all the notes how it works, but if you're just doing the tank stuff and nothing else on Smith of Kitava, it is just bad for softcore. You're going to be probably like 70% of the speed and like half the damage of like almost any other ascendancy. Once again, we don't know the full ascendancy or what everything does, but yeah.
For me, Smith of Kitava, the problem with it is not even that it's warrior, and it's not even that it has no movement speed or anything like that on its tree, but the problem is its starting point. Like, it's very, very bad for what you just described, right? Like, if Queen of the Forest is like the end all be all, but even if not, like all these small nodes on the right side you get that have like 2, 3 movement speed, like they really add up. I felt this on my Sunder Totem build. It's like even the difference between like a normal build with like 35 movement speed and 55 movement speed with Tailwind and stuff like that is wild. Yeah, it's like you're playing a different game. But yeah.
So I was counting this earlier, actually, like last week. The ranger side of the tree, if you take all the reasonable movement speed nodes, you can get 24% bonus movement speed. And like in PoE2, that can should just double your movement, like 20%, like 20 or 44%. It's massive.
Are you gonna run Onslaught Charm, you think?
It's only when you get slowed on hit, right?
Yeah.
If
self-temp chains?
I don't. Dude, Rue was saying self-temp chains, like, okay, dude, yeah, I don't want that one. I mean, I would run it if the charm slots are more available. Maybe we have more charm slots or something. But besides that, no. The Thorn Charm is actually too good.
Ingenuity is nerfed. You might have 3 charms this league.
Yeah, if you have 3 charms, I would definitely use it. But they said ailments and stuns are going to be more impactful for the enemies this patch. So if that's true, I was going to
Did they say that about stuns? I thought only ailments.
Maybe it was only, I thought they said stuns, but it may only be ailments. If it's only ailments, I was going to freeze so often that Thorn Charm was like mandatory. It's like you have to have Thorn Charm or you have to have like a 3-pointer into some freeze, like evasion, whatever.
Yeah, I think they were talking about they were just pissed that nobody took ailment threshold, basically. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because there was actually some interesting nodes like natural immunity or like this 2-pointer on the left side that gave stun at ailment threshold that was inside one of the unique jewels, like a really good spot. But like nobody took it because it's just it just doesn't matter.
I did take Icebreaker, which was 100% max ES as additional fuse threshold.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
True.
But that's because it's not really like no one takes it. It's more so the fact that it's like if you're softcore, Ignite and Shock really does not matter. Ignite, the enemy's Ignite damage already feels very weak. I never notice it. Bleed, I also never noticed. Only thing you ever notice is like Corrupted Blood if that's only an ultimatum. So it's freeze and nothing else matters. And freeze, you can saw one charm with your one charm slot and you're done.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think they're gonna rework charms like as they are right now?
I hope so.
I think Ritualist might actually open up if they do.
I wish we had 3 base charm slots, to be honest, and the game was balanced around that. And they made more interesting charm slots.
Get more than 3 maybe.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Currently in the game, it's just charms are not interesting.
My idea was, I mean, it's not my idea, but like it was literally just, so they don't like flasks in PoE1 apparently, but you could literally just, like flasks in PoE1 at some point are also just auras, right? So they can just make charms passive. At this point, they're just proccing randomly anyways. Like, what is that gonna do? They might as well like give you a mini Progenesis charm or a mini Taste of Hate charm or something, right? Like, literally just make it a buff and just forget about all this garbage.
I feel like they're just scared to give players power. I feel like giving players power is probably the last thing on their mind right now because of how insane the power cube already is in PoE2. Well, it's not even power cube. It's just we started at the highest point in PoE2. Which is insane to say, and maybe some people only play PoE2 or listen to this. But yeah, we are actually at the highest power level that we're probably going to be in PoE2 for the next 5 years.
You know what I think it is? I think it's literally that they want to be so different to PoE1 because they have this like fear of people saying that why does PoE2 even exist kind of deal. They want to be like different at every point. Like Leech is always my example. It's like Leech in PoE1, obviously people say like, oh, it's so hard to understand. First up, like you learned it once, it's like so obvious and it's such a good system, especially now. I mean, maybe you could argue Instant Leech is still OP, but they toned it down over the years, right? But it's such a good system, and in PoE2 it's so dog shit, like I don't have no idea what to even say, right?
I'm pretty sure they didn't even want Leech in PoE2, but like
you think they just shoehorned it in?
Yeah. I don't think they actually want recovery in the end game. That's why there's like such few recovery notes on the tree. They want the way to recover your life is a life flask. That's how they want it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's, I mean, you just said power level. We're at the highest power level in PoE2 right now. It was kind of revealing in the latest interview with Gazi how Jonathan said they really want to control sort of how much damage people do and they don't want it to go overblown. And then Mark had a very different perspective with like, oh, we can't really control that and we should not stifle like the everyday player just because of the 0.01% of players. Where do you lie in there?
It really depends. If obviously you're nerfing the top end and the top end nerfs make the average player pain and suffer and they can't play the game, that's obviously a little bit too much. At the same time, this top end shit is like so ridiculously stupid. Like some of these builds in PoE2 are they're just flat out better than Path of Exile 1 builds, which is insane to say. And the power level just should not be there. Like I would say full stop, you should not be able to one-shot any tier 4 boss in this game, at least for like a long time. It's the fact that that power level already is absurd. And they can do nerfs that only affects top end. Yeah. They definitely can.
I feel like when it comes to stuff like Trample Toe or something, I'm still taken aback that they didn't fix it immediately. They kind of said like, oh, we're going to leave it for a league, right? Like you can do that in PoE1 because in PoE1, it feels like at some point they just kind of gave up, right? And they're kind of like, oh, this is going to be the goofy game. But in PoE2, if they want this to be like the grounded experience, there's no way they can just not nerf Trample Toe for 3 months. It's like, what?
I mean, yeah, the reason why I'm pretty sure is that they nerf stuff week 1 and week 2, and they probably got like an absurd amount of like even like refund requests or complaining emails. And like, okay, wait, maybe we actually just can't do this. Even though they were like, yeah, it's early access, we're going to do changes. People like, nope, don't care. Why are you nerfing me?
Well, you can't let your game be held hostage by like people like that. Like you have to think about long term, right?
I wish they were doing like balance patches. I just think they went it wrong. They went about it the wrong way. Like how they nerfed week 1 and week 2 was actually the worst possible way they could have nerfed. They just immediately nerfed. Yeah. You couldn't respec. There was no warning, and your build's bricked.
I said this like. Dude, I swear, 80% of people would have not complained if you just give free respecs. I would have been one of those. I would have not complained.
Yeah, it should have been like free respecs and like a 2 or 3 day warning, so you have like time. Yep. And that's it. And like people still would have bitch and complain, but I think the big reason why people bitch and complain, you know, you go to sleep, you log on, and now your build literally does not function, and you don't have gold. So your option is to reroll or quit the game.
Yeah. And then obviously it doesn't help that we just started playing the game and nobody knows the campaign layouts. Nobody nobody has training and leveling and whatnot. So now rerolling is gonna take what, like 12 hours? So it's like, yeah.
Hey, if they just went about it a different way, or they try again, I think it'll go over a lot better. But they just gave up instantly while handling in the worst possible way they could have handled it. And for now, I'll probably only get like, I don't know. For me, I can't see this game ever being balanced in the next 2 years if we're gonna one balance patch every 4 months.
Yeah,
I just don't see it.
Because like the problem is, okay, so let's say they only nerf every 3 months, okay, but if they did it already in between, they would already find the next layer of problems, right? Like, because if they nerfed Trample Toe, they probably would have found by now another 5-6 broken builds, right? And they could have already solved those. Whereas now the patch notes are the next one, and then how long are they gonna wait, right? It's like, yeah.
But you know, some issues like the fact that crit multi, at least what they said on the podcast, is not being touched.
Don't
is
get
insane.
me started. Don't get me started.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of broken shit in this game, and crit multi is definitely not the top issue, but it's like,
dude,
man, crit multi, you can get 1,000, 1,200% crit multi in this game. That's a 12 times multiplier. Like, man, I feel like, I'll say it right now, I feel like builds this patch 1 week in, yeah, there's gonna be one shot tier 4 boss builds.
Yeah. Like, I have no idea how they think you're gonna have like 500k damage. It's like, the biggest thing I hate about crit right now is crit fishing on ailment builds is so weird. It's like ailment builds right now are literally like crit builds. You just add a little bit, you sprinkle a little bit on top, like a poison build. You scale it exactly the same because you obviously like you need less crit chance if you have a lot of hits, right? But you're just fishing for ailments. So or for like high roll ailments if you have a lot of damage spread or whatever, right? But it's like, it's so bad. I feel like ailments will have to be addressed at some time as well, especially poison.
Yeah, I have not put an ailment build yet, but I do know the whole, like, yeah, you want to crit for your ailments because ailments go off crit. So I don't know too much about the ailment stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just
pretty
like
bad,
works pretty weird.
Yeah. They are going to rework Pathfinder, and they even called it out, so yeah, hoping there, but we'll see. Are you interested in Lich, for example? Lich was the only one where I was like, oh, I might actually break. But the problem is you don't have any movement speed. Like, how do you move in endgame, right?
Yeah, you play Lich when you get Temporalis.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, and that's like, that's the thing. 10 times Rara. And it's like, we talked about this today on stream. It's like, okay, so the first person who gets Temporalis is the best person to farm more Temporalis, right? But it's going to take way longer to get there because it's 10 times Rara. So the anti-snowball is going to be crazy in terms of how many Temporalis they're going to be. Right?
To be fair, at least in Sanctum, because you can stack so much move speed relics, you don't really need Temporalis to farm it, but it does help.
Okay. So you're saying there's going to be people just gearing up Queen of the Forest and it doesn't matter, really?
Yeah, like Queen of Forest Sanctum builds are extremely good. Because you can stack, obviously you get like 2% move speed yourself, then you can stack move speed relics on top of that. And it's like, you can get really high move speed on a Sanctum. And it's still like quite really fast. And
you can still skip the relevant parts with the normal blink, right? So yeah, it's not the end of the world, yeah.
And that might be fixed in the patch anyway.
Makes sense, yeah. So right now, in terms of skills, have you, out of the clips, seen anything that like looks cool to you? Any spear skills? Are you gonna stick with like lightning jab just because or something, or are you looking into, are you just waiting for numbers at this point, I assume?
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know like 20 of the spear skills. Honestly, Lightning Spear, it's like very much of the D2 spear skill. It does look pretty cool and obviously could be really sick for clear speed. But, you know, had to see numbers, had to see all the spear skills. Not even sure if I'm starting spears. I do want to start spears, but like, if the numbers don't look good on spears, I'm not playing them, you know?
Bows. Yep. Yeah, also, like you said in your video, it's like getting an accuracy roll in a quiver and stacking quiver effect could be insane. I was just looking a little bit into Lycosidae builds and stuff like that, but it seems like obviously it's not worth scaling into the tens of thousands. But I was just thinking about if they don't rework Falcon Dive, like the attack speed node that scales per accuracy, it is actually pretty hard to get like to a crazy amount of attack speed, so it would probably feel godly anyways. Yeah,
the Lycosidae I definitely might use early on as well. Very much like how I do in PoE1. That shield, double accuracy on his ascendancy, like, because day one you're not gonna have insane accuracy. You're not gonna have accuracy on like rings, on your weapon, whatever. So using that day one, it might just like double your base crit. yeah, it's probably worth using day one. And it's a common, unique shield. So even like everyone's using it, it'll still be cheap.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, that covers about it. I mean, we're kind of looking for patch notes right now. We're kind of waiting. So, yeah, thank you for coming, Fub. It was a pleasure having you.
Yeah, it was great being on here.
Was fun.
The famous
Hope you
Paltalk.
keep. Sorry, what?
The famous Paltalk.
Oh my god! Come on. Okay, bro. No, but hope you keep making good content. Absolutely love your content. Always looking out for it. I love that there's now blasters like you who actually take care of their builds. They actually care about not just making currency, but all parts of the game, and are also newbie friendly. So yeah, just keep going, man. I love it.
Yeah, you too, pal. I love these Paltalks are great. It's great being on here. All the guides and builds you do are amazing.
I didn't pay him for that, by the way. I didn't pay him for that. All right, man. See you around.
See you.